Recording suit. Boom.
Welcome, everyone. This is AOP, and today I'm joined by legendary copywriter Doug Deanna. Doug Deanna is the $1 million copywriting coach. He's a dear friend of ours. He's a member of the MasterClass community. He's been in the biz for a long time, and he's generated over $100 million in sales. He's the go-to guy on Money Twitter. I hate saying that name, but he's the go-to guy on Money Twitter for copywriting and coaching to transform your content and 10x your sales. Today, we're talking about the complete copywriter. We're going to talk a little bit about what copywriting is. We're going to be opening up this for questions for you guys as well. But what we say, the complete copywriter is part salesperson, part storyteller, part business person who understands there's no substitutes for results. In other words, a complete copywriter is not one that can write persuasive copy, work with clients, and negotiate services, but also excels in crafting a sales pitch, not only captivates the audience and builds lasting relationships. I love those principles. Doug, how are you doing today, buddy?
Hey, it's a great day. It's always a great day for me. You know, it doesn't get any better than this. When you've had a successful career, and you look back and you look at what it was that helped launch your career. Sometimes you just want to share that with others. Because as I tell everybody, I worked from home. I typed letters for a living. I got paid like an author. That allowed me to take my kids to and from school, coach their sports, go to jujitsu at lunch, get a black belt, stop at the grocery store on the way home, pick up food, and have a meal on the table by the time my wife got home from work. I was able to do what I wanted, when I wanted, thanks to copywriting. And I was a copywriter before most people even knew what a copywriter was. Quick little.
Yeah, I was actually just about to ask you that because I'm just slightly ashamed to say this, but when I started on X, I didn't actually know what a copywriter was. I know that's hard to believe, but can you define what is a copywriter, Doug?
Well, I mean, if advertising is a salesmanship in print, then you are a salesman in print. I used to say I had this what's that called? What is it called when you're embarrassed or you don't believe? Imposter syndrome. When are they going to find out I'm not a copywriter? Because I was simply a salesperson that typed for a living. And that's what I consider myself, a salesperson that types. And that's so when I talk about being a complete copywriter, I talk about actually being a complete copywriter in 4 areas. And that's prospecting, selling, retaining clients, and writing copy. And I used to, I have a sales course on how to sell yourself as a copywriter. I actually used to coach on that because I found that it didn't matter if you were any good. It only mattered if you could sell yourself, because people hire you, give you a deposit before you've written one word for them. So if you're going to be a good copywriter, you need to be a good salesperson first. And so nothing begins unless you know how to prospect. And so you got to reach out and you got to identify potential clients. So when I started prospecting for clients with this organization called the Direct Marketing Creative Guild, where I attended meetings, got the members list, and started smiling and dialing. And that's how I found Target Publishing, which placed me in the investment newsletter promotion world, ultimately leading to Phillips Publishing, Prevention Magazine, Men's Health, KCI Communications, Eagle, and others. But along the way, it wasn't a straight line. There were ups and downs. I also joined the Direct Marketing Association and pounded that list, leading to Consumer Reports and other lesser known companies. And today, you really have a lot more options to target industries network, like through X and LinkedIn and others. But you got to work it. And of course, nothing happens unless you have a great pitch and a proposal that highlights your unique skills and how they can solve the client's problems. And that increases your chances of getting new business. The bottom line, if you cannot prospect, you will not have any business. And I learned that lesson quickly, and I had no competition.
Oh, I was about, yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's interesting you're bringing up prospecting. I think that is such a important. There's so many things I want to talk to you about just based off of what you just said. I don't even know where to begin, but
Okay. So let me,
go ahead.
let me go to the second tenet here of selling.
Okay.
I wouldn't have been able to land a job if I didn't know how to sell myself. And so I did have another little bit of a secret. In the time when I broke away from um, uh, uh, writing copy, I sold real estate for a year, or at least I tried, and I took a Dale Carnegie sales course. That was the advantage I had when I got back into business. So I quickly realized that, you know, when I'm out on the phone smiling and dialing, I wasn't selling copy. I was selling the positive outcome and making money, and I was the catalyst. And so if you can't present your services and demonstrate the value that they bring and you bring, you will always be working for peanuts. And that comes to, hey, you sell yourself, people want to know, what do you charge? And it's hard when you're starting out. I remember my first sales letter, first savings deposit bank. The woman came in to meet. I went to meet with this woman for lunch, and she said, how much to write a 2-page letter? And I was like, I couldn't look her in the eye, $40 now. And she was, how long will it take you to write? And I went, I don't know how long it's supposed to take. 10 hours. Well, it took me 2 weeks. They never used it. But she put her hand on my shoulders and said, why don't we make it $50 an hour? $500. I went, okay. I walked out onto Sansom Street in San Francisco. The sun was a cloudy, sunny day, and the clouds parted. The sun hit me in the face, and I went, $500 to write a 2-page letter. I'm getting in the letter writing business. Now, I also had another advantage. At that time, there was a book published by another copywriter called Who's Charging What? Denny Hatch published it, where I could see what others were charging for the same thing, and I could price myself accordingly. But don't think you're going to get a job if everybody charges $5,000 and you charge $1,000. That means you don't know anything. So you have to price yourself accordingly. Now, I'll also say about selling yourself and knowing your worth is I'll never forget the time I doubled my price in a day. You may have heard me tell this story on Twitter or in one of my emails, if you're on my email list. I was working for a company, doesn't matter the name, but I was charging $12,500 for a direct mail package. And I asked if they paid world famous copywriter Jim Rutz his $25,000 fee and 5-cent royalty. And she said yes. And I said, okay. The next day, the new marketing director took over, and we had actually worked together before. And I let her know that my pricing structure had changed, and that it was the same price as Jim Rutz, $25,000 plus 5 cents. And you know what she said? Okay. Just like that. Now, on the other side, prior to that situation, I had a client tell me that all my competitors cut their prices in half for double the work. Guaranteed. And I asked who they were. Give me their names. He said, everybody you know. I said, give me their names and I will hire them. So he said, you're not interested? And I said, no. And I sent the project back. So if you want to make the big bucks, you must not only understand how to sell yourself, understand your client's needs, negotiate terms, and know what your personal value is. And as I mentioned, like there's 4 tenets, like prospecting, selling yourself, retaining clients. Hey, you will never succeed if you constantly have to chase down new clients all the time.
Oh, I agree with that. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
got to find clients that will feed you a never-ending stream of projects. Publishing. That's because publishers have 2 things. Big publishers have many projects, so you can bounce from one to another, but they also have people who expire like any other subscription-based program. You got expirations and you have people you bring in. So how do you retain the clients? Well, you have to deliver high-level copy consistently. But as you walk down the path of life, you will find that there are only a few people who can deliver consistently. Think about a best-selling author. Think about J.K. Rowling. Winner after winner after winner after winner. Think of your favorite band. Winner after winner after winner. Think of Lady Gaga. And then think of Huey Lewis and the News. I like to listen to news, but you know the difference. You have to be the Beatles. You have to be the Rolling Stones. Consistency. And, that's how you retain clients. You're good, you're consistent, you meet their needs, you listen. And forgive me for bragging, but that's where my $1 million copywriting formula came in. Because once I had one success and I knew that format and framework worked, I brought it to the next one. I brought it to the next one. I brought it to the next one. In fact, many of these relationships I'd had with, one or two companies lasted for either a decade or 2 decades, almost 3. And I had one marketing director that I worked with at 5 different companies. And you know what she would always say? We need to bring in Doug Deanna. So that's how you retain clients. Now, as for writing great copies, well, you have to be good at crafting compelling, persuasive arguments that resonates with the people you're trying to sell.
Let's go over these 4 tenets. I just want to make sure that they're clear. So what was, let me get that there.
Prospecting, selling, retaining clients, and writing great.
Whoa. Number 1, prospecting, right?
So, the thing about my formula and format is that it was always changing. When you've, for example, when you've mailed your list over and over again, and you're not adding new people to it, well, then you have to find new ways and new products and new things to sell them. I remember with Phillips, I was working on many of their low end projects, their entry level $99 a year products, and I wasn't getting a shot at the high end $1,000 and $5,000 projects. And when I finally got a shot at it, my big winner was $6 Canadian oil stock to hit 13 by Friday. Ka-ching. I think they mailed that 3 or 4 times and it brought in $250,000 each. And what was really cool about the whole thing? It took me less than a day to write. Why? Because I already had worked on other projects for that client and knew that the upsell, they already know who it's coming from. And so it's actually a little bit of an easier sell. And so, it's, prospecting, selling, retaining, writing great clients, and you know what? Actually being a nice guy and somebody cool to work for. First thing I would say when I would have the senior vice president on the line in the morning, I'd say, first thing I think about in the morning when I get up is how I can make you rich. And you know what he would say? I like it.
I like the way that you frame things, especially around one of my favorite emails that you sent out has the headline, "Let's get rich together."
Oh yeah, that was another one. Let's get
I love that.
I
think that is one of the greatest. That is one of the greatest email marketing subject lines that I've ever seen. Like even like no metrics. I'm not even looking at metrics. I just love the vibe of it. And I think it really just positions you in a way that is friendly and you know what people want. And that's really what you do. It's all about like positioning yourself. And that one says, "Hey, I'm a cool guy. You want to work together? Let's get rich together." Who doesn't want that?
Oh, everybody wants that, but most likely everybody wants to win. I'm going to tell you my publishing story. Oops, did I lose you here for a second?
Oh, no, I'm there. One second. I dropped something real quick.
There was this one copywriter who took no fee and was getting 30% of everything. And I'm always one who says, I want to get in that game. I want to get in that game, right? So I had this one idea for a newsletter. And it was, I don't remember how long ago, but it had to do with the green energy way before. And I had this idea called the Alternative Fuels Report. And I think there's a need for that because I was in the market. I kind of knew what was going on. And it was going to be the ethanol investor, but it was too focused. Alternative Fuels Report. And I was going to do, and the publisher says, I like that idea. I'm going on vacation. Let's talk about it when we get back. By the time he got back, I had already written the report and the sales promotion for it. And he says, this is great. we can find an editor for that. And I said, okay. And he says, okay, we're going to give you $25,000 and your nickel and da da da. I go, oh, no. I'm going to do 30% deal. You're going to give me nothing. And he says, we were arguing back and forth. And I said, nope, it's the 30% of nothing. And he goes, okay, we'll do the 30%. And I was counting my whole head, based on I don't know what, because I never really knew all the numbers, how much money I was going to make. I figured I'd make 30, 40 grand off the first mailing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it went out, $99. I figured we had 1,000 orders right off the bat. It was a bomb. Bomb.
Oh, like not the bomb, like a bomb.
Oh, I think I made, after I paid the editor to edit it, I think I made $125.
Oh, okay.
I should have taken the 25 grand.
Oh my gosh, for sure.
However, here's the lesson for everybody you're working for. That person who hires you is taking a risk. Big risk. They are laying out money, hopefully that you will make them money. So that's why it always have to have a win-win.
I'm with you on that. I've always gotten away. I mean, you're in the copywriting biz, so I can see how you can easily do something like that. I've always had issues with like taking a piece or something like that because I don't know. I don't even bother with that anymore. I don't even want. It's so hit or miss. Does that make sense? Like for instance, with your thing, I'm sure you've had huge payouts from some of those. I can see in your biz though, and you're dealing with companies as well. I think that's a little bit safer than I know a lot of these guys doing copywriting work or some of these email marketers, and it's like, hey, give me XYZ percentage, and then the guy loses his receipts or something like that,
I want to open this file and share it with you.
Oh, absolutely. I want to look at some cool stuff.
Let me just share. And I no longer have a subscription to Adobe. I have to use Preview. Get tired of paying them. Just want to show you a sample of something here. Okay, we're going to go to share screen. Share this one here. Can everybody see this?
Oh, that's great.
Okay, this is a great retirement betrayal. I worked on this thing back and forth as a publisher for 6 months. And right sidebar. Okay, so I wrote this magalog, and it's a, what's the word I want? It's 24-page infomercial. It was the first project I had with this client. And and look at 1992. I got paid $10,000 and I knew about the royalties. He wasn't giving one. We don't pay new writers royalties. And I said, okay, well, this one beat Jim Rutt's promo by 100%. That's how big it was. And he wanted to hire me back on a royalty and give me half a cent. Well, I knew Gary Benzavenga was getting a nickel, half a cent. Nuts. I was relatively new. I wanted a penny. So, but he was only going to give me a royalty on the new version. And a new version might be a new cover, a new headline, right? That's the new version. But I wouldn't get paid a royalty on the old version. I could rewrite that thing forever and never beat it. And he says, okay, we'll pay you a royalty on the whole thing, a half a cent for the first 6 months and a penny after that. Well, as you learn the business, look at ads fatigue, which means this thing could be no good after 30 days, just like you notice with your emails today. You send it out twice and it's over. Well, so when you talk about taking a piece, it was unbeatable for 3 years.
Can we talk about why this is so good?
25 million copies.
Can we talk about why this is so good? Is
Yeah.
that okay?
I'll
Um,
tell you why.
yeah. Okay, yeah, I'd like to just go through some of this because I see some incredible things about
Okay,
this.
so
So
I'll just
go
begin
ahead.
at the top. All right. Do you know what somebody's greatest fear is? It ain't dying. It's running out of money in retirement. Look at the cover. That's a retired couple working at McDonald's, right? That's why it was so. I hit the right idea with the right people at the right time. My money's safe in the bank. My employer would never cheat me. My expenses. All of these were big lies that people had told. So half truths, damned lies, just plain bull. And you got to remember, this looks like a magazine. In fact, you see the red cover on the outside? That red cover on the outside was Time owns that. So it looked like a Time magazine. So when it arrived in the mail,
Mhm. Wow,
right?
that's really good.
Now,
No,
we'll
that's
just
really
take a look at the
good.
back cover here. As I talk to people about writing copy, you're looking for great examples. Go
Wow.
to old Reader's Digests, please. If you look at a Reader's Digest,
Mm.
they have all of these fascinations. You see what I mean? And then a lot of these, you know, from studying boardroom, I go, hey, what the FBI, what nobody ever tells you, right? All of these questions, and I love questions because, hey, what Social Security doesn't want you to know? Wouldn't you want to know that? I want to know what the government doesn't want you to know. Those are like, you know, how would I say, the cookies for the dog. People salivate. Who doesn't want to know how to buy stocks and get it and 5% commission free? I mean, everybody wants to know these things. And so that's why. And I hit a home run.
Okay, let me ask you a question on this because I'm like the two guys that I study in copywriting are you and Ben Settle. And this reminds me of my call with Ben Settle a lot already. So I want to ask you a question. So, guys, if you're listening and you're just a beginner, the key to copywriting is knowing what's inside of your audience's head, really, and just putting it into words. You know, if I were to just summarize it in one sentence crudely, okay. How do you know that that's what they need to know? How did you know that, Doug?
Well, I'll bring up another one for you. Let me
Okay,
look at my slide.
because this is the point. Like, so this is what the question I get from a lot of beginners is like, well, how do I know what they need to know?
How do you know? Oh, damn Adobe. Hold on a second.
Take your time.
Okay.
Take your time. So this is one of the reasons why I'm always talking with my audience, guys. I can just tell you that from my perspective. I'm always talking with you in masterclass. I'm always saying like, hey, what do you think of this? Hey, what do you think of that? Hey, this is why we have the Discord server. I'm reading responses. I read responses to all my emails. I read responses to everything in the Discord server. If I see like, here's a problem that people continually have, sometimes I'll even use their words in the copy to advertise it. It's like, hey, XYZ. So
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's really funny.
does
Mention,
that make sense, Doug? Yeah.
oh, you know what? Somebody asked me once, hey, why do you think some of your copy is doing so well right now? And
Mhm.
I said, oh, I thought I would take the time to actually read the newsletter.
Oh, yeah.
That's a joke. So
Yeah, I know.
let me bring this other share up here. Now, those two that I showed you come from my, one of my swipe files that I sell. Of course, I call it the $100 million um, copywriting um, swipe file, which is the same one I coach people on. That's another thing. When this gentleman says, "Hey, can you coach me?" and I go, "Gosh, I don't know, write a program. I'm just going to walk you through my stuff, right?" So you see this. This is one of my great promos here. The one stock that can make you a marijuana millionaire.
Mm.
Can everybody see that? Okay. Okay. Now, why this ad? This was a big winner, probably went over about a year and a half or so. So how did I come up with the idea? How did I know what it was that the subscribers wanted? Well, if you check your competitors at different publishers, they all have a marijuana promotions. And I said to the publisher, you don't have a marijuana promotion. And if you want me to work on it, the only promotion I'm going to do is a marijuana promotion. Because you can be the best writer in the whole world, but if you're writing on the wrong theme, it's as good as dead. Nobody's going to read that. Does everybody, have you ever reviewed with your people the 40-40-20 rule?
Yeah, this was, so if this is the first webinar, if your first lesson, sorry, if this is the first time you're hearing Doug, last webinar that he came on, he talked about the 40-40-20 rule. That's what that last lesson was. So if you want to refresh that, yeah, go ahead.
40% of your success is your offer. 40% is your list. And 20% is the copy. I would wish to say that it's all me, but it's not. If you have a great offer to a great list, a kindergartner could write the promotion. Facts. So they have a great list. We needed a great offer. And so she, and this, when I coach on this one here, man, this was the perfect promo because she picked out a great stock and the stock sold itself. The stock sold itself. So now what do people want? Let me go to another one in here. This was great. So, when you work with publishers like I have, and maybe not everybody on here wants to be a freelance copywriter. Maybe they have their own products that they want to develop. So, I have another video, that was how to write long copy. How to write long copy that sells or something. I can't even think of it. But let me just bring up this other promo here that I did with another client, and it happened to be okay. Begin screen share. Everybody see this one? One Nation Under 10.
Oh, this is a real like, wake up America. Yeah.
Oh, this
wow.
would work today.
Yeah, this would work. I was about to say this could be.
Now,
yeah.
What made it good? Well, because it was an anti-China package from 12 years ago. And I found a book that actually laid out everything you needed to know. But when I was thinking of a headline, I mean, we all go one nation under God, right? But that's why that kind of headline, that just runs through your whole body, right? And if you think China's long march to world domination, you're thinking the Bataan Death March in World War II. And so it's boom, boom, boom. So how do you know what to write about? Well, if you are what's the word I want? A subject matter expert? Does that make sense? If you're a subject matter expert, well, then you've been writing on that subject a long time. So, it's anti-China? Oh, no, I already know all the points. Oh, it's dividend investing. Okay. And then you learn, I've got a dividend investing promotion to write. And you listen to your editors and you talk to the people that they are always selling. And you go, oh, people want high dividends, but they want to know how the dividend is earned. So all those people who jump in on high yield garbage that get burned was because they didn't know how it was earned. Oh, you learn you're going to earn 5% in a bank CD with no risk. You can use 4% tax free in a savings bond. That's which actually is even more income. Or you can earn 9% in this derivative based blah 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 that has risk reversal. And you're like, well, nobody even checks that out. But when you tell people how it's earned, then people listen. So you have to understand the mechanics of what you're selling. And
Yeah, I love pointing that out to dividend investors, by the way. I think it's hilarious. But you're absolutely, so you have to know, right? So I think all of this is great. Doug, you keep going. Sorry about that.
so then there's I got another story for you. And yeah, I
Okay.
got questions. I love stories. So let's just say, let me just see if they can, do I make this smaller here? Boom. There we go. Okay. We'll get to the share again. So one day, one publisher says to me, hey, Doug, are you interested in writing the motivational success field? And I'm like, okay. Boom. Everybody see that?
I love this book cover. This is on your, this is your,
My swipe file, one of my swipe files that I sell.
it's on your X banner, right?
Yeah. So what happened is that he said, are you interested in writing the success motivational field? And I'm like, I don't know. He says, we can mail 5 million names, 10 million names, excuse me. Well, 10 million times 5 cents is $500,000. And I said, would you be interested? And I go, oh, absolutely. And he said, well, who's the guru? And he goes, well, you're the guru. And I go, I'm the guru. And he goes, yeah, you're the guru. And he goes, well, you're the guru? I said, yeah, okay. Well, what am I going to write about? Anything you want. Wow, think about that. So if you're going to be in the success motivational field, then you need to know what motivates people for success. So I went to the Nightingale Conant website and I looked at every single one of their success books, from Dale Carnegie to Dr. Dennis Waitley to whatever Anthony Robbins. And I just absorbed all of that. And it all comes down to what people want, which was the new science of getting what you want. And we sold a lot of these books. Give me 30 days and I'll prove, standardized headline that John Caples came up with. Boom, testimonial, first page. And then here, this idea came from somebody else's promotion I saw a long time ago. If I'm right, you get this. If I'm wrong, you get that. Either way, you get these 2 free bonuses. So,
oh man, that's so good.
I'm talking about emulating, reading. A lot of people say, hey, I get these letters, please don't write me. And say, I'm hand copying everything I see. I go, dude, why would you waste your time all that? You're writing about the wrong things, because you didn't need to know everything about China or everything about dividends or everything about retirement if you're selling toothpaste. What you need to know is how to go from a headline to the order form with transitions that walk you down the page. That's what you need to know. That's what you should be copying and memorizing. Make sense?
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. It's kind of like you're just thinking of like the sequential part of being able to communicate. Somebody just interrupted me. I lost my train of thought.
Okay.
The sequence, right? There's always some kind of sequence here. Who did you study and how did you study this sequencing in a way is what this really is?
Well, I studied Gary Bencivenga and I studied Jim Rutz. Studying Jim Rutz doesn't help you because his mind's so whack and great. It's hard to, how did the guy go from here to here and then come down? But I studied Gary, I studied John Caples. I bought a lot of books at the beginning, and I wrote and I rewrote and I wrote again. And I wrote and I rewrote and I wrote again. I wrote again and again and again and again and again, until the copy sang. Then every morning when I would get up, no matter what I had written, I'd start from the top again, even if I was only down this far. Hone. It's kind of like being a rough carpenter. You come in and you rough everything out, and then you come in and you start doing your finish work. And as you're doing your finish work, you're going, excuse me, I don't like that. I don't like that. I like that. I like that. And honestly, it may sound like hocus pocus, but I start to feel it in my fingers. There's a certain click to the keyboard when I feel like I'm in the zone. Maybe I can bring up another thing I want to show you.
No, that's cool. I agree with what you say there. It's like there, uh, you know, this is one of the reasons why I hate writing copy too, by the way, is because you really do have to like do it again and again and again. You have to have that kind of mentality to do it
Well, and how do I
constantly.
put it? Here we go. Bring up another website here.
I personally hate writing copy. Like I've written copy before.
Okay. This is from the my
Mm.
sales page for my coaching. I can't make it any bigger.
I love that you're going over this stuff with us,
See
by
that
the
there?
way. Yeah, it's Steve Kerr, right?
When you come under my wing, I'll help you write with the same kind of joy and mindfulness that led the Golden State Warriors to 3 championships. That should say 4 now. You have to write with the joy in your heart, man. For me, it's like, mindfulness not only will speed your writing process, but help you write more intuitively. You know, the more you practice it, right? The more you practice it, um, the better you get. And I often say, I like to do the comparison with jujitsu.
Mm.
Hold on a second. Let me walk into my gym for a second. Okay, I'm back.
Wow, Doug, like that's incredible. You have a gym and a studio.
No,
Wow.
I'm just teasing. This is
That's unbelievable, man. This guy
okay.
is
All right. When you're in copy, I use the tenets of Aristotle and Plato and rhetoric, seeing the available means of persuasion in any given situation, and then winning the mind through argument. And that can be through argument and or emotion. Well, in jiu-jitsu, it's the same thing. You're eyeing your opponent and you're looking for the best opportunity to take them down and submit them. Only you're doing it now with copy.
how
What?
is jujitsu and writing copy the same?
Well, as
How
I just mentioned, you're facing off against somebody and you've looked at their videos, like studying somebody's swipe file, and go, oh, that guy's a right-handed judo guy. Oh, he's a left-handed wrestler. I'll give an example. My first jiu-jitsu match that I had in years was 2012, and I was going against the guy that never lost. And I hadn't competed in years, and I was nervous, and my mouth was sweating. And then all of a sudden, I said, and this was the guy who never lost, never lost. And so prior to the match, I was nervous. I was hungry. I didn't eat. I didn't want to drink. I was 6 pounds under, even though I thought that maybe one sip would put me over. And so sort of a sense of Zen came over me at one point. And that Zen was that there's something that I know that he doesn't know. He doesn't know that I wrestled. He didn't know that I was in judo. And you know what he really didn't know is I watched all 10 of his YouTube videos and I practiced against that. Now, when you are studying great copy, you are not only identifying what works, but you're also seeing where there are no holes. Does that make sense? There are no holes in the game. So when I would study Gary, I would take and I would write and I would beat up that argument. I would get on every single side of that argument that it was hard to say no. I would answer the arguments in the copy.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. So like you knew what so really it's just like you knew what the objections were even before. So you just knew the objections, you put the objections into the copy and then you would boom, answer them. I love it. I think that's great. That's something I
No,
need to do more.
but I wouldn't put the objections in like they were not, they were, it was subtle. The objections were eliminated as you read the copy. They weren't like a salesman, like going, and the reason you can't buy it today is what? Now, if your wife
Oh, okay.
was down here with the checkbook, you'd be able to get it then, right? Oh, so then why isn't your? No, it was so subtle. And that's where the practice over and over comes in. You know, I have, you know, and it comes from like, okay, so, you know, where do you begin, right? I've always maintained, and I can bring something up here. Let me see if I can't find another sample in here. There's my swipe file. Oh, one of the best things I'd ever done, I used to have a banker's box of direct mail promotions. Most of them were mine. And over 20 years ago, because I would go, where was that paragraph I saw? Where was that paragraph? I scanned them. I just have to click and bring it up. When it begins with a good headline, right? Oh, here's one that I wrote years ago. Is this a good one? Let me see. No, that one's not good. Oh yeah, here's a good one. Let's share this one. And by the way, in a four-part test, this was the winner. One more secret I'll share. Preview explosive mind stocks. Boom. Everybody see that?
Will the crashing dollar sink Wall Street again? When was this written? December 2003. Okay.
1 year ago.
Yeah.
Ka-ching. Oh, and by the way, this is just one more example of the $1 Million Copywriting Formula, that if you look at about 10 packages, they all follow the same format. So when you have a great headline, right? Your promotion writes itself. I know I hated hearing that from my publishers. Oh, this thing's going to write itself. Yeah, right. Well, it may not write itself, but it argues about it. And I just want to ask a trick question. All right. This is a trick question. Can anybody tell me what they think this is about?
We're talking about inflation. Oh, what you're gonna sell? Is that what you're saying?
This is an infomercial in a magazine format. So what is it exactly that we're selling here, right? Well, first of all, this is a Trojan horse. So you don't even think it's a sales piece, number one. But if I was to ask you what it's about.
Is it selling commodities?
Well, no. It's selling a subscription. But you know what it's about? It's about this. Will the crashing dollar sink Wall Street again? That's what it's about. Like any headline for anything, that's what it's about. So if the thing writes itself, then as you read it, you are going to read a story if it's going to crash it or it's going to hand you big gains. And the answer would make you 50% richer or poorer over the next 6 months. So if you want to get on the right side of this thing or the wrong side of it, you better read this. Sit up and listen. Any questions?
Well, I think that's great.
So,
I agree with you. I agree with you on the headline. It's a lot like the subject line writes the email for you in a way.
right, exactly.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Let's get rich together.
Yeah, let's get rich together. All you gotta do is write it now.
So
right?
I mean, as you know, for your people, I put a little bundle together: the ultimate guide to writing headlines and hooks. Then we have the Fascinations playbook. You know, as you saw on the back of that, now let's bring this up. Hold on. Oh, I lost that. Let's see. JJ asked a question. What thought process do you have when you come up with these powerful headlines? Well, I write a bunch of them, JJ, and I cut it and I cut it. And then I'll go, this one's no good. This one's no good. This one's no good. This one's okay. All right. So out of the 50 we write, then we hone those down to about 10. And out of those 10, we hone those down. And then I'll go, I don't know about that. You know what? Hey, wait a minute. Boom. This is it. And then it hits me. Now, Jay, not everything I'd write's a winner. I have a hall of shame too.
Oh, wow. What makes or breaks a headline?
Well, is it curiosity?
Mm.
Is it thought provoking? Let me see if I can go through my swipe file and read a few of the names of them. How about top 30 stocks for 2018? Oh, and by the way, how about the top 30 stocks for 2024? Always works. Our 10 top stocks for 2017 are online. Cabot's #1 stock of the week. Biggest winner of the November election. Big earnings month for 500 lucky readers. Beat the market by 3-1 in 2012 guarantee. What makes them good is that I don't know if you've heard a couple of my copywriting philosophies. One of them is the cookie and the dog, or it should be the dog and the cookie. And so I know Dino knows this because I've mentioned it before. Dino, do you have a dog? Yes.
No, I don't, but my son wants one really bad. So I'm like on the verge of buying one. So
JJ, anybody have a dog?
I know the analogy. I know the
Right.
analogy.
So let's say you've got a dog, and so your dog is sitting next to you. Until I pull the cookie out. Who's your daddy? So you've got to be the cookie to the dog. And whatever you write has to be the cookie to the dog. A rare opportunity to turn $1,000 into 200 grand. Wouldn't you want to know what that is? That sounds like no whiz. Oh, one of my best ones. So, at Phillips Publishing, it was a meritocracy. Not only would they pit you against other writers for the bag of gold, you were pitted against other writers on other products. And the product that had the best response and the most money would get rolled out to the entire list. And I was losing to my mentor because he was on the hottest product of the day called China Strategy. And I go, dude, I got to beat this guy. And that's when I came up with 50% richer in 6 months or free. Ka-ching. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I got him on that. What
Well,
else?
it's so what makes it good is it's what everybody wants, plus it's so quantifiable in people's minds. It's like, it could have been just like, you know, get rich with me. Yeah, that's cool, but like 50% in 6 months, now you know what I'm going to get exactly from it and how long it's going to take. And there's no risk involved.
Yeah.
Right. So like it's what everybody wants.
Here's another one I need to share here. This is a good one. Wouldn't you want to know this?
That looks like a stock trader's almanac too, or something like that. Like it looks like such a
Oh, wait a minute. Here's my tenure control. Let me just share that with the group here. That's in one of my swipe files somewhere. Okay.
I see Fiona Smith here. Hello. That's Millennial Money Woman, by the way.
Oh, wow.
I haven't seen her in a while.
A millennial money woman.
Woman, yeah. She has like 300 something thousand. How many followers you have on Twitter? I haven't seen her in a while. 300,000. I'm going to round that up.
Okay. So there were a couple other big time winners that I had. And this was another one of them. Oh man, I don't have, where's the almanac?
I just like looking at your copy, man. It's just like, and just hearing a little bit about the process behind it.
Oh, here we go.
I think everyone can learn from this, like, even in your tweets.
Okay, here we go. I came up with this in 2008. And this was a control virtually every year we sent it out. Now, they would fade in time and we'd bring them back and I'd redo this story. Share. I have this product. I just got a shout out from a guy on LinkedIn called Accelerate.
Oh, look at this stock trader almanac right here. People,
featuring a sneak preview.
this is exactly what it looks like.
Again, it's a Trojan horse. I'm great at Trojan horses.
I hadn't even thought of using the visuals to make it look like the other thing. That is what.
Well, this is a real. This was a real thing. This was.
Yeah. Oh, I know that. Yeah.
You can see here. Those are the print lines down here at the bottom. Boom. Letter on the inside, featuring a sneak preview, right? Including the trends plus an inside look. It's just like news, with sidebars, how we find the winners with all of the wanted information that people want. Oh, now let's get to the back cover. Boom, 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 boom. Here it is again. This one right here, man. I always used to be where fortunes would be lost. Everybody wants to know how to invest $50,000. You include it. So, as you can tell, I love this stuff. Love, 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 love.
Why do you think you love copywriting? Is it just because you like knowing what makes people tick or something like that?
Well,
Is it
first
like,
of all, I'm a generally gregarious guy. Right?
okay,
I
I'm like
was
that too.
voted most talkative in high school. My degree was in speech communication. This is simply a speech to persuade on paper or digital. And, the tenets of attention, interest, desire, action, I didn't read it. I didn't invent any stuff. I just absorbed it, emulated it. Hold on one second. Let me grab.
You guys enjoying this conversation? I'm loving this. This is one where I've actually been like bookmarking spots of this to go back and watch it later on.
So, hey, so I think JJ or somebody asked me a question about, what do you study your books? This was my Bible. How do I get it in front of the camera?
Oh, it's not coming in.
Tested advertising methods. John Caples. See it?
I see that.
Okay. I have a library quality one with a beautiful cover on it. My son's getting into copywriting. I wouldn't give him mine. That's how
Wow.
Then there was this Making Ads Pay. It's similar and older. I got rid of all the others. I just like the simplicity. Now, Denny Hatch, who wrote a wonderful article about me. Okay.
I like how you're breaking out these older books too, which I think is human nature. Human nature never changes. I just was doing Shane Hunter. I was just doing an interview with him. I can't see what that book is, right? The $1 Million Man's. Okay.
Okay. This is like $300. I don't even know if people can even get a copy of this. I might let go of this one. But years ago, there was a famous Kiplinger ad. Okay, hold on a second. And that ad was will there be more boom or inflation ahead? Right? Okay. Okay, here we go. I'll bring this one
That's a
up.
good question, Fiona. We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute.
Okay, will there be more boom or inflation ahead? Right? Wow, that's good. That's good. Wow. Will there be more boom or inflation ahead? And that's how I came up with boom or bust ahead for technology stocks. See how you read other things, you learn other things, and you apply it. Hey, I also got boom or bust ahead for oil stocks, boom or bust ahead for U.S. investors. And then the thing about that is, the thing about that is that you just apply things, and a lot of it is, it's just practice, man. It's just practice. And all right, so you go to jiu-jitsu. Here's the analogy: you go to this white belt and you learn a couple of moves, right? And then once you kind of know how to apply those moves, you get to the blue belt, right? And then once you get to that blue belt, when you learn when to apply them, when you get to purple belt, right? As you're moving around with somebody. And then when you get to brown belt, you learn how to move somebody to where you want to manipulate and move them. And then when you get to black belt, you tie everybody in a knot. So I wish that was that way, but that's why they call me Decasaurus. I'm the oldest guy there. So copywriting is the same way. The more you practice, the more you get it into your mind, the more you can get the vibe going. And it may sound like hocus pocus, but it worked for me. Now, I'm a big believer in the argument. I'm a big time old school reason why. Prove it to me, prove it to me, prove it to me, prove it to me, prove it. May they call it social proof now. Well, high level copy is written with proof and argument. Here's why. Because I have the other one that I call the let me, before I get to the Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz, if anybody ever saw it and they know the song, we're off to see the Wizard of Oz because you got to explain it. Here's why. Because let me explain how I arrived at my conclusion. If you can't explain it to people and improve it and back it up with your facts, they're not going to buy from you. So understanding expert level arguments, read the opinion page of the Wall Street Journal. It's great training on that. They're making statements. They are 100% unwavering in their belief about what they're saying. It's not wishy-washy. Okay, this is not a direct mail piece, but can everybody see this? Where it says Kiplinger? Okay. Now, this was dated. I'm going to tell you exactly what this dated is. 1958. That ad that I talked about being more boom or inflation ahead was written in the 50s. This was the freebie or the book they were selling with this, giving with the subscription. I found it on eBay, and it lays out argument after argument that I didn't have to invent the arguments. It laid it out for me. Ka-ching! Like, so anyway, these are forecasts. So forecast is another thing. Now I see Fiona asked, I'm trying to come up with a headline for one of my sales pages. It's a workshop that teaches people how to create a budget and gain control of their money, but I'm struggling to come up with an attractive headline. Wow. Well, this is where you have a blanket, you lay a blanket in a corner of your home, and you lay down and you shake in a fetal position until you come up with it. Nobody said this was easy. So where do you start? Well, Fiona, can you just pop in how much this workshop costs? It's $49. So very low.
I told that the workshop is like the hottest thing. There you go, Fiona. I like what you're doing here. $49 workshop. Excellent.
Well, with 300 and 275,000 people, I'm sure you can get a lot to show up.
She should be, right?
It should be. So where do you begin? All right. Obviously, their money is out of control, right? Does that make sense? Their money is out of control. Now, you got to make that $49 sound like it's $1 million, right? They're going to make money from this. So the questions, if I was your copy supervisor, I'd say, and I would ask you questions, not necessarily knowing the answer, just to help you think. Is the gaining control of their money what they need, or is it a risk-free and a financial freedom life? Is that what they want? From $49 to 200 grand. How to gain control of your money and your life. Now, is that any good? I don't know. I don't know your clients. I don't know what they've bought before. What were the names of your other workshops? Or is this a new workshop? Oh, Red Ramina is here today. She's great. She's a world traveler. She's got.
Oh, you know her? She's a troublemaker.
Oh no,
She's a real troublemaker.
she's wonderful.
This is we have a really good crew in this community. I think it's great.
I'm not sure who, but she's got the look.
That's what I told her.
And by the way, just so that you know, Ramina, I'm a member of the Screen Actors Guild. So in case you need some guy who can say one line like, "Oh, here's your coffee," I could do it. Or here's the police report you've been looking for. So what? Okay, this is your first workshop. How? My suggestion is, and you're going to love this. Let me bring this up. Remember the old Doug's New Science of Getting What You Want for the book? I wrote the ad for the book that didn't exist. So my suggestion would be that you write the ad for your webinar like you're trying, that doesn't exist, and start with your fascinations. Funny you should mention that, because in the MasterClass copywriting bundle we've created for Dino is I have like the fascinations playbook. Write a bunch of fascinations, because your headline is simply one of the fascinations. Is it 3 ways to gain control of your money? Too general. Is it God, this one guy had this one ad for one of these mutual funds, and it was a 25 cents solution to something. And the 25 cent came from breaking down the cost of the publication per day. So I don't know. That's where I'd begin. Start with a bunch of fascinations. Create 50 of them, 100 of them. What will they learn? You'll learn, you'll discover, you'll see, oh, wait a minute. There's this one great line. Hold on a second. I'll bring it up. Who is it from? Okay, I'll bring up this PDF. Well, I can't show it to you because it's not mine. But let me just search and replace, edit, find, budget, BUDGET. Where is it? Okay. This is from an old promotion that Gary Benzovanger wrote. Once you manipulate the laws of money, blah, 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 blah. Contrary to common belief, you'll discover why budgeting is not a stepping stone to wealth. You'll love this. The only person who ever built wealth with a budget was the man who started Budget Rent-A-Car. I don't know how that applies, but I thought it was great. So obviously selling budgeting probably isn't something that people who can't maintain a budget want to hear. Does that make sense? All I can tell you is that when you're selling subscriptions to investment newsletters and trading services, people want to get rich as easily as rubbing their two fingers together. Nobody wants to work. You know, you're the manna from heaven. That $49 that you're charging for that workshop is going to open up a whole world and change their life. Now, it might not be as over the top as that, but I would begin with the fascinations. Oh, great. Hey, great. Maybe you please give me a shout out and ask people to join my follow me on Twitter.
Fiona, you need to, I'm gonna put one of the best clips from this. You need to give it a retweet on the timeline. That's what I'm gonna ask you to do for showing up today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Give
listen,
Dougie
I just
traffic.
want everybody to succeed. You know, I mean, we're all here, and you know, I have to say that when I got out of college, I had a degree in speech communication, and I got an internship because I was the concert promoter's assistant at San Diego State. Got an internship working at Bill Graham Presents, and the big concert promoter in the city, which now you would know as Live Nation. And I pitched that woman. She hired me, but I didn't know you're supposed to ask for a job at the end of an internship. Huh? Hey, I didn't know. So I couldn't find a job in advertising. I couldn't find a job. So I ultimately created my own. I met a guy who was a singer in a band at a restaurant. I showed him my portfolio of stuff that I'd done promoting concerts. He says, this restaurant owner, where we're saying he needs you. I pitched him. He fired the entertainment director of the local newspaper, and he hired me, which was cool. And then 2 days later, I was at a Mexican restaurant, ran into a friend from high school who owned a wood stove company. And when I told him I was doing the ads for this restaurant part-time, he hired me. But every single resume that went out got nothing, zero. I couldn't find a job. So I created my own. I ultimately left the wood stove company and decided, hey, there's got to be a whole lot of other little companies out there that could use an advertising guy rather than depend on the newspaper. And so I would just open the newspaper. You could see where people were spending their money because they were taking out ads, right? Ka-ching! And that would be my call list. And I would, go from door to door. So, my point was that, you got to create your own success. Got to create your own success and see where it's at. And when you get to a certain point, you're like, okay, well, what was I talking about again? Yeah, success, copywriting, and getting people. Ultimately, your job is to get people to put money in envelopes and mail it to you, or click and buy. And you have to offer value. There are those who say that, gee, you give away too much information. But I come from the world where the more information you give away, you build honesty and trust. You might not call me to ever, or you might say, hey, we want Doug to look at our piece, or hey, I think I want to join the mentor program. But that only happens. You're welcome, JJ. That only happens if you build a good relationship with people, and they only build it through the power of your words. So you're honest, you're sincere, and hopefully people will read that in your copy, and they will want to buy from you. And to me, that kind of almost wraps up what a complete copywriter is. You go through all of those different stages, and ultimately nobody buys unless they believe, and nobody will buy from you unless they trust you. So be believable, be trustworthy, be honest, be good for your word, show sincerity in your copy, and it takes time. And I think it's a little bit harder to get started today than it was, because I had no competition. I had no competition. My buddy who ran a body shop, he goes, isn't there somebody down the street in Baltimore they could hire? I go, apparently not. So today, everybody's an expert on Twitter.
Yeah, but how many of them are good, Doug? Right? It's like there's a lot of the difference between a bad copywriter and a good copywriter is tens and tens of thousands of dollars, right? Like hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe even $1 million.
Well, as Gary Benzavenga would say, he'd say, the most costly direct mail package that you have is the one that doesn't work. Like my story about writing that promotion for myself that I thought was going to be great, and it didn't. That changed my mindset that everybody who would hire me is taking a risk. And just because I made money for all these other people doesn't make money that I'm going to make for them. But I also positioned an almost no risk reason to work with me is because I didn't just give you one ad, I gave you two. And if those two didn't beat your control, I'd give you two more. Where's the risk in that? Not a lot.
Doug, I want to thank you for being on today. I know your time, like it's so much free game that you're giving us. So much free game. I want to personally thank Doug. First of all, you need to follow Doug on X. Okay, if you're listening, it is. I want to pull up Doug's page right here at Doug Deanna. Yeah, Doug Deanna. Give him a follow. Tell Dougie hi on X.
Follow. What's Fiona's
Millennial Money Woman. Melania, can you drop your handle in here?
Fiona should have a newsletter.
She does, but she doesn't consistently send it out. I think. I haven't seen it. RIP. Red should have a newsletter.
Well, how much will millennials pay?
Oh, ooh.
I hate to say it.
Oh no. Oh no.
Nobody believes you because you don't have enough gray hairs. But maybe there's a thought change. Is that, here's another one for you, Fiona. That's worked. It was like the new rules of retirement. Actually, thanks, Maria. The new rules of retirement was actually one that Jim Rutz had written that My Great Retirement Betrayal had beaten. And then this other guy, Bob Carlson, came up with the new rules of retirement for another product he does. And that's still, everybody goes with the new rules of copywriting, the new rules of this. It's right here in the Bible. Tested advertising methods. But don't get the bullshit with the red cover. Open your wallet and get the one that's like this. And if you can get one that's like a library quality one, like mine, with a case.
Yeah, it looks like you swiped it from a library. I thought at first you did.
That wouldn't be beneath the old Doug. But the new Doug, who's totally into karma, would be totally beneath me.
All right. Hey, I am going to wrap things up, but hey, I dropped a link. I want to let everybody know there's a link. Doug's put his best copywriting products together. This is like such a great offer, by the way. It's something like $450, $500 worth of value. Doug's bundled this all together as copywriting. Let me take a look at what he's got here. Ultimate Copywriting Guide to Powerful Headlines and Hooks. Boom. I think somebody was just asking about headlines. Fascinations Playbook, 101 proven models, hacks, supercharged copywriting skills, unlock persuasive transitions, your guide to breakthroughs. All of this is fantastic. If you want to get started if you're somebody who's serious about selling online, or if you're someone who is even serious about learning about how copywriting works for selling to clients or for yourself because you're selling on Gumroad or whatever website you're selling on, you need to read this. Check it out. It's and this isn't exclusive for MasterClass, by the way. I sent the wrong link out yesterday, by the way. If you got the email and you were clicking, a couple of you were like, oh, AOP, that doesn't work. This link works. Check it out. I'm losing my voice, Doug. Check it out. You'll enjoy this. And I love it. So I want to personally appreciate Doug. I enjoy all of these calls. I enjoy hearing from you so much. I think this one was better than our last call because I just like seeing some of the banger stuff that you've put together. And I think that to me, that's the most powerful is just having you look through it. Y'all, I want you to type in the chat. What is the biggest lesson that you learned in this? Like, what's the biggest, most powerful lesson that you learned today? One thing, it could be small, could be a little thing. Everybody in the chat or who's in attendance today, drop it in. You love seeing the works as well. Yeah, me too. You need to dye your hair gray to be taken seriously. Red, that might make you stand out. Like there's a little bit of a surprise. If you had like old lady gray hair and you were young, it would make you stand out. Like pop.
Maybe rock the Tulsi Gabbard look, huh?
Is that I would do it too, but I don't. I can't do
Oh,
that.
yeah, but the cool thing about Tulsi is that she's just a freaking badass that shoots guns and all sorts of stuff.
Does
And
she have gray hair? Does she have gray hair? I never noticed.
she has one line. But anyway, you can go and look at all the different things that I have that I promote, and I'm more than happy to
High
chat.
level copywriting is written with proof and argument. Yes, that is well done. Well done, Nick. Fantastic, guys. All right, I'm gonna wrap things up. I'm gonna stop the recording on this. We're gonna place this in the Gumroad library. Give Doug a follow. Appreciate you, Doug.